Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get kicked off today. Welcome to the introduction of the Oklahoma Excel program, a new learning community initiative here at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. We know you're all busy and we want to value your time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And we'll have an opportunity for a question and answer period at the end of today's webinar, so you can jot down any ideas or questions there where you're watching and listening to today's webinar, or you can actually find the chat box in this platform and add your questions there, and we'll be sure that we can address them as the session comes to a close.
I forgot to open your chat box. Let me just open it.
We're going to take a pause here to open up on our end some chat box. 1 second.
Nobody had popped in yet.
Okay. So in fact, if you have a chat or a comment to make, we will be able to see it and address it. So I want to overview the objectives for today's session. We're going to briefly introduce the Oklahoma Excel learning communities that we are talking about today. We'll share the story of the spring 2019 pilot that we are still actually engaged in, and we'll explore how your schools can get involved in this process. We want to make sure that you understand how these things are connected, and we'll do our best, but know that we are always open for questions, and we want to make sure you can reach us. So let me just introduce who we have here today. Myself, I'm Levi Patrick, and I am the Assistant Executive Director for the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, and I will primarily be listening with you to Dawn Irons, and I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Dawn Irons, and I am the Director of Oklahoma Excel. I'd also like to take a minute to introduce our ELA Instructional Specialist. Her name is Heather Lester. And just a note, we are currently interviewing, and we hope to add a science, math, and social studies specialist to our team very soon. Before we begin, I'd like to share a quote from Rita Pearson. Perhaps you've seen her inspirational TED Talk, where she highlights the imperative need for every child to have a champion in their life. It is that TED Talk, and this quote in particular, that serves as the foundation for our work in Oklahoma Excel and Champions of Excellence. We aim to be your champion so that you are better to serve each and every student in your school. Speaking of Champions of Excellence, I wanted to take a little bit of time to discuss this initiative and explain how all of these pieces fit together. The Champions of Excellence initiative has been central to the work of the Oklahoma State Department of Education, as all aspects of our work are aimed to better support school leaders and educators to ensure that students have access to a well-rounded education in a safe and healthy environment. Now, there are three main facets of the Champions of Excellence work. The first facet of this work is the Programs of Excellence rubrics, which highlight instructional and curricular aspects of schools and aspects of schools that help create a safe and healthy environment. Now, these rubrics, which have been co-constructed with stakeholders from all across the state, reflect what ambitious teaching and learning looks like. They are emergent, ambitious, and flexible, reflecting a shared view of the exciting potential for our schools. Now, over time, the rubrics will continue to take shape as we work to reflect current needs and practices. We currently have Programs of Excellence rubrics in the areas of ELA, mathematics, science, social studies, safe and healthy schools, world languages, and fine arts. Work on the computer science rubric will begin soon. Now, as you can see from the graphic on the screen, the rubrics are constructed to identify three tiers: bronze, silver, and gold. Now, schools who are actively working to provide a well-rounded education in a safe and healthy environment will be celebrated. One of the ways that we are celebrating schools is by prominently displaying this information on the Oklahoma School Report Card dashboard. If a school has achieved one of the three tiers, bronze, silver, or gold, in a particular focal area, it will be identified here. There is also an opportunity for schools to share other ways in which they are supporting a well-rounded education by highlighting related programs and opportunities available at their schools. Now, when anyone, a parent or member of the community, logs on to the Oklahoma School Report Card dashboard, they will immediately see which areas the school is excelling in. We think celebrating is a key component to championing our schools and our students. The feature highlighting bronze, silver, and gold schools will turn on after next school year. To learn more, make sure you click on the link. So we talked a little bit about the vision for ambitious teaching and learning and how the programs of excellence rubrics hope to achieve that. And we talked about how we hope to celebrate our schools as they make progress towards ambitious teaching and learning through the Oklahoma School Report Card dashboard and the recognition as either a bronze, silver, or gold. But what about support? How do we, here at the Oklahoma State Department of Education, plan to support our teachers, leaders, and schools in meeting those ambitious teaching and learning outcomes? The answer is Oklahoma Excel. Oklahoma Excel is the aspect of the Champions of Excellence work that partners with teachers, leaders, and schools to provide professional learning, coaching, and ongoing support. Oklahoma Excel provides tailored professional learning, resources, and tools to schools so they can make advancements in the areas outlined in the Programs of Excellence rubrics. As we do this using the tenets of improvement science and networked improvement communities. Now, although improvement science and networked improvement communities are common in a variety of industries, including healthcare, these concepts are relatively new to education. So I'm going to take some time to break down these ideas so that you have a better understanding of how Oklahoma Excel is structured and how it operates. Let's first discuss networked improvement communities, often referred to as NICs for short. This visual represents 3 different networked improvement communities. One of the networks, which is encircled in yellow, focuses on ELA. Another one is a science network, and lastly, mathematics. You can see they operate within a contained network, and we at OSDE serve as the network hub to guide and facilitate the content area networks. Let's zoom into one of the networks so we can get a better idea of its components and function. Let's pretend this is our math networked improvement community. As you can see from the graphic, the network is made up of 5 different districts or sites, A, B, C, D, and E. Now, in this particular example, each district has 8 team members participating. The team members, which are represented by the small gray circles, are math teachers because, after all, this is a math networked improvement community. The small red dot outlines what we call improvement fellows. Each district needs to have an improvement fellow who will serve as a local project manager and coach. They will be responsible for advancing the efforts of this work and serving as a liaison between the network and the OSDE hub. Now, in this instance, we might expect to have a teacher, such as a team lead or math department chair, serving as the improvement fellow. We'll talk more about improvement fellows later on. Lastly, you'll notice at the center of the network is a shared goal and shared strategy. This is the feature that connects everyone in the network together. Everyone is working to address a common problem of practice, all trying to figure out, reach the same goal, use the same strategy. Now, to paint a more clear picture of this work, I'd like to tell you about our pilot networked improvement communities that we launched this spring. We partnered with 2 districts and several districts who joined forces and funds to form a consortium. Tahlequah and Stillwell are our 2 districts, and then we have our Lane Consortium and the Osage County Interlocal Cooperative Consortium, or OCIC. We are operating networked improvement communities in 2 content areas, elementary science and safe and healthy schools. All 4 partners participate in both of those networked improvement communities. Our pilot began in February, and it's about to wrap up in a couple of weeks. I'd like to review some details from each of our 2 networked improvement communities. Our Science Networked Improvement Community has 27 elementary science teachers. The majority teach in grades 3 through 5, but we do have a few teachers who work in the primary grades. We have our 4 improvement fellows serving as those project managers. Our shared goal for science is to increase the percentage of students who contribute in science class. And for the purposes of our work, a contribution is defined when a student asks a question or shares his or her thinking. Now, the strategies that we are trying out are modeling and using a driving question board. Our Safe and Healthy Schools Network has 34 educators. Now, most of them are team members, but we also have some school counselors and other school personnel. Again, we have our 4 improvement fellows leading the work at the district level. Our shared goal for this network is to increase the percentage of students who report having a trusted adult at school. Now, to help us meet this goal, we are testing out 2 strategies: checkpoint chats and hallway visibility and greetings protocol. Both our elementary science and Safe and Healthy Schools network improvement communities engage in PDSA cycles throughout the course of the spring pilot. PDSA stands for Plan, Do, Study, Act, and it's the key component of improvement science. Now, PDSA cycles are a structured methodology for supporting continuous improvement. At the end of our pilot, our 2 networks will have completed 2 PDSA cycles. One cycle spanned 4 weeks, and the other is about 7 weeks. Now, we're going to break down each component of the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle so that you can see what our participating educators experienced and what others who join later on can expect. The first phase is Plan. Now, during the Plan phase, we explored needs connected to the various programs of excellence rubrics. To help us dig into those needs, we conducted a root cause analysis. Now, taking time to do that is critical because it helps ensure that the problems we investigate, the goals we set, and the strategies we selected were aligned to our rubrics, worthy of investigation, and in demand. During the Plan phase, we developed practical measures. Practical measures are quick, easy tools that our members administer to students that help us gauge the impact of the strategies. These are often seamlessly embedded into instruction. They're usually 1 to 3 multiple choice style questions that can effortlessly be done on a sticky note or as an exit ticket. They are practical because they're a breeze to administer and give us timely and actionable feedback. Now, the last part of the phase comes in the way of professional learning. Working with our content area directors and experts in the field, we curated a series of professional learning experience for our networked improvement team members and our improvement fellows. We walk them through all facets of the work so that when our team members and our improvement fellows go back to their schools, they are empowered to grow their practice. Now, it's worth noting that everything that happens in this Plan phase is carried out by members of the Oklahoma Excel team. We work hard doing the behind-the-scenes heavy lifting so that our members can focus on what matters, implementing new strategies for better student outcomes. The Do phase is where our networked improvement community team members actually get to go and implement and try out the new strategies that they've learned, all while receiving ongoing coaching and support from the Excel team. The networked improvement community team members also administer those quick and easy practical measures about every other week, and they send that data to us. Now, we do the work of organizing and aggregating the data, and we do that so that when our networked improvement community members come together as a group, we can study the data. Networked improvement community members from different districts come together, discuss findings, share stories of how the strategies are implemented in unique settings. Now, through the wisdom of the group and analysis of the data, members are able to move towards a more perfect implementation plan as they discuss what's working, what's not working, and why. So as we study the data and we learn from colleagues, that allows participants the opportunity to modify and adapt how the strategies are being implemented. New insights are uncovered, and our team members are able to take those insights back to their classrooms. And of course, as adaptations are being made, the Oklahoma Excel team is there to offer continuous ongoing support. Now, as I previously mentioned, our spring pilot has not officially wrapped yet. We have a couple more weeks, so we don't have any final data to share, but we do have some pre and midpoint data that we'd like to share with you. So on the screen is one of our practical measures for science. All of the questions we ask students relate to some aspect of our goal, which again is to increase the percentage of students who are contributing in science class. So you can see that this question correlates to the idea of asking questions, and over the course of just 5 weeks, we see an increase in the number of students in our participating districts and consortium who are asking questions. This practical measure was administered to the students in the Safe and Healthy Schools Network. Now, this question asks whether or not students feel safe at school. And remember, for this network, our shared goal is to increase the percentage of students who report having a trusted adult at school. And we know, based on years' worth of literature, that having a trusted relationship is one facet of feeling safe and secure. So you can see that 71% of the students reported feeling safe at the time the pretest was administered. And after just 5 weeks, we're already beginning to see some increase to that number.
And if I could, I'll add that this data is data that simply tells us how we can think about improving our implementation process. So we are not actively trying to prove that the strategies work. We actually know that they work. We select strategies that have been proven time and again to work. What we are trying to understand is how they work and how we as a team can better support our school leaders and our teachers in implementing those more effectively in their context.
Thank you, Levi. So another exciting feature of this work that we'd like to talk about is all of the professional learning tools and resources that we're developing. As a result of the 2 PDSA cycles that our pilot team members have participated in, we've been able to design a suite of resources. These resources have taken shape as what we call theme briefs, strategy briefs, practical measures, and slides and guides. Each of our 2 focal areas has a theme brief. Now, these are overarching theme briefs, and they help to tell the story of why these topics are worthy of investigating. So our science theme brief, which is displayed on the screen, discusses why it's important that our students are curious and contribute. Now, each of our theme briefs is accompanied by 2 strategy briefs. These are essentially how-to guides for each of the strategies that we're piloting. In science, we have developed strategy briefs to assist teachers in implementing the driving question board and student modeling of phenomenon. As you can see, each strategy brief includes an introduction, detailed steps for implementation, key considerations to be mindful of, and several additional resources for teachers to check out. Now, it's our hope that in the future, any teacher across the state can access these briefs and implement the strategies outlined. So what you're looking at now is our Safe and Healthy Schools theme brief, which asks readers to consider the impact that healthy relationships have on our students. Now, each theme brief dives into the issue at hand. It has key considerations. It discusses how the theme promotes equity. There are also reflection questions, recommended action steps, and references to other related tools. These are our 2 Safe and Healthy Schools strategy briefs. Now, these briefs provide guidance on how to implement the checkpoint chat strategy and the hallway visibility and greetings protocol strategy. So there are many possibilities of how these theme briefs and strategy briefs could be used. Perhaps they could serve as a tool for a teacher who has a particular professional learning focus and is interested in doing some self-study on a given topic. Perhaps these briefs could be used to help facilitate discussion with a team of teachers during a PLC. Or again, simply any teacher who wants to know more about a topic and learn some related strategies. And here we have our collection of practical measures. These again are those quick and easy multiple choice style questions that our teachers ask students. These measures are really impactful for our teachers, as they often give us new insights into how our students are learning, insights that are usually not captured by more traditional assessment tools. Now, currently, we are developing slide presentations and guides for facilitators. Our slides and guides, as we call them, will allow schools to offer professional learning on a variety of topics and strategies at their school site. These resources will be available in the future. And soon we will begin developing what we call profiles of practice and stories of change. Now, these resources will feature real stories from our participating educators and schools. They will celebrate those who are implementing strategies in a truly unique and effective way, and they will allow others to learn from them. And what is best, perhaps, about all of these resources and tools is that they are co-created with our participating teachers. All of the resources we've shared have been developed just over the course of a few months during this pilot. As part of our long-term, multi-year strategic plan, we hope to create a true toolkit or suite of resources that are easily accessible, cover a wide array of topics and strategies across multiple content areas. This is a quote from one of our science elementary team members. She's a 4th grade teacher from Tahlequah, and you can see that she really appreciates being part of this process, which aims to honor teachers' voice and value teacher experience. So, what have we covered so far? Well, we've shared a little bit about the overall Champions of Excellence initiative. I've shared a little bit about our pilot experience. Again, groups of educators across the state networked together, all focusing on the same goal, trying out the same strategies, learning alongside each other. Now, throughout this pilot, we have learned a lot of lessons, and we are gearing up to launch on a larger scale this fall. So, we are looking to partner with interested districts all over the state to engage in this process of ongoing, continuous improvement and professional development. We're now going to take some time to explain how your school can get involved in this exciting work for the upcoming school year. We hope to tackle some of these questions that you see on the screen. First, we'll get into the who. So, who is eligible to participate? Well, really anyone. If you have teachers who are interested in growing their practice and adding strategies to their toolkit, this may be for them. Ideally, we'd like to have a team of interested teachers across your site or district make a small team. We also would need an additional person to serve as the team's improvement fellow. This person, as I mentioned before, needs to be closely connected to the content area. For example, if in your district you have a team of math teachers who are interested in participating, it wouldn't make much sense to have a guidance counselor or a school psychologist serving as the math improvement fellow. It would, however, be appropriate to have maybe the math department chair or an instructional coach who works with the math teachers serve in that capacity. Or perhaps one of the team members could serve as the improvement fellow, and that would be fine. Now, some things to keep in mind are that the improvement fellow does have some additional responsibilities that the team members do not have. They would be asked to attend some virtual meetings, host team meetings at the site level, and then collect and send the data to us here at OSDE. Now, a great improvement fellow is somebody who's well-versed in the particular content area, organized, a self-starter, someone who is interested in growing his or her leadership capacity. Now, keep in mind, Oklahoma Excel promotes ambitious teaching and learning as outlined in those rubrics. Therefore, we highly suggest that interested team members have a solid foundational knowledge in the content area, including knowledge of their Oklahoma academic standards. Well, as mentioned throughout this webinar, we are looking for interested educators to work with the Oklahoma Excel team on a year-long professional learning experience. Educators from all different areas across the state will have a unique opportunity to join together and learn from one another. We hope to have networks in several different content areas, all with a shared goal, shared strategy, and shared purpose, spending the year together, building partnerships, and growing as professionals. Now, again, teachers who are participating in our network will engage in those plan, do, study, act cycles throughout the year. Now, during these cycles, they will implement a high-leverage instructional strategy and spend the year refining it. One thing to consider is how this professional learning opportunity may fit in with existing initiatives, such as the professional learning focus. So where is this taking place? Well, we are encouraging districts from all over to join in this effort. The beauty of a networked improvement community is getting to work with educators from varying contexts, sharing ideas, overcoming challenges, all while working together as a community. Now, we will have some in-person meetings, and all of those will be held in the OKC metro area. But there will also be times where members of the Oklahoma Excel team will come to you to provide coaching, feedback, and support. So this is we are hoping to launch our first official year of Oklahoma Excel this fall during the upcoming 2019-2020 school year. The first meeting with Improvement Fellows and team members will be in September. Now, our professional learning during the fall semester will really focus on network building, learning about those instructional strategies we're going to try, as well as getting into some data analysis. We will also meet several times during the spring semester. So our team members can expect about 30 minutes on average of project-related work per week. Now, most of the team members who participate will have their work done during the course of a normal school day as they try out the instructional strategy and collect data. Improvement Fellows, on the other hand, can expect about 2 to 3 hours of project-related work per week. So I'd like to share with you kind of a more general timeline, which will give you an idea of some of the key milestones happening in this work. So currently, we are in the April to July timeframe, and we are working hard to spread the word and create some buzz. Now, we have started working with our content area directors and their advisory committees to identify the themes for this upcoming school year, as well as to identify specific strategies to employ. Very soon, we're also going to begin working on developing those practical measurement tools. Early this fall, in the August to September timeframe, we will be identifying districts who are interested in partnering with us. Team members and Improvement Fellows will be selected, and we will officially launch in September. The first days of our September launch will include several days' worth of professional learning. After our launch, it will be time for our team members to go back to their classrooms and begin trying out those strategies and collecting data. Now, of course, as mentioned before, we will provide continued and ongoing support. We anticipate having 2 of those Plan, Do, Study, Act cycles in the fall, and then 2 also in the spring. Now, towards the later end of the school year, we will begin working with our teachers to develop all of the various tools and resources.
Of course, the big question is, how are you going to pay for this? We want to help you as a local education agency in our state better leverage your Title II Part A and Title IV Part A dollars in a meaningful way. We believe that growing our teachers so that they are best equipped to provide a well-rounded education in a safe and healthy environment is one of the best and most important investments we can make. For those of you who might not be familiar, Title II Part A dollars are to be used on teacher professional development and leadership professional development. Title IV Part A was initially a competitive grant here in Oklahoma, but due to changes at the federal level, every district now receives this funding, which is to be used to promote a well-rounded education in a safe and healthy school environment. At a minimum, every public school district in Oklahoma receives $15,000 per year, with larger school districts receiving more according to their Title I allocations. So that $15,000 would be enough to send a small team from your district to participate. Again, to clarify, participating districts won't receive any additional funding from us. Instead, we are proposing a pathway for you to spend your existing Title II Part A funds, your Title IV Part A funds, and other funds that you might braid with these funds on a year-long professional development experience for your teachers. The costs associated with participating in the networked improvement community are largely related to travel costs coming to Oklahoma City for our in-person meetings, and there are also costs for stipends for work done outside of the contract hours. Additional materials, supplies, and other local discretionary contracts for professional development or other services are also quite possible inside of this structure. To make this easy for you, we have a detailed budget template designed for you to use. All you do is drop in values that are applicable to you, and the spreadsheet will do the rest. We know that spending your funds in a meaningful way can sometimes be a challenge, and we want to remove that barrier. Because the financial part of this work is quite complex, we also want to make ourselves available to you. If you have questions about how to leverage your Title II Part A and Title IV Part A funds, please do reach out whenever you're available. At this point, I want to pause. We, Don and myself, could go on and on about all of the things we are excited about this work, but we think it might be even better if you had a chance to listen to some of those educators who are participating in our pilot this spring.
I have very much appreciated the fact that I have been kind of the expert, for this creation of this brief. I didn't realize how much I appreciated it until Friday. But I really like that it's not just like the office people not in the classroom writing something and then mandating it. Mm-hmm. Instead, they're like, hey, we have this idea, will you try it? And it was very nicely modeled and explained and lots of support. And then, so we tried it out, and then we came back and we tried to discuss together, okay, did this work for you? Did this work for you? And we got to do that midway here at Greenwood. And then we came back, and then we were asked, okay, did we do this right? And I thought that was just so, I just really appreciated that, because it wasn't like, hey, we think we know what we're talking about, so we're going to tell you, and then you do it. Instead, it was like, hey, do we know what we're talking about? And I just felt very, I felt appreciated, and I appreciated that.
They just need to try it. Just try it. And it's about connection on both ends.
I know our days are busy, and I know it feels like we can't do one more thing, but this is one more thing worth doing.
Okay, well, we now have come to the time in our webinar where we'd like to open it up for questions from you. There are a couple of ways that you can ask us questions. We have a chat box, of course, and we see a question a moment ago from Ton, which I'll address in a second. So you can ask your questions there. And it may also be possible to use your voice. Is that true right now?
Open them up.
That's okay.
We'd open them all.
Okay. Well, perhaps the very best way for you to ask a question of us is to type it in your chat window. And while you're thinking about the questions that you may have, let me let you know that we actually are going to, just after this question and answer period, just give you a little bit more information about the next steps for you. So stick around. And I will speak to a question that we had a moment ago. Ton Rundle asked us, can content teachers span across several grade levels? And certainly the answer is yes. So far, we have exclusively had heterogeneous groups from grade levels. So we are very curious in this work to understand how different teachers are implementing the work differently. I'm sure we've all been a part of some type of a professional development where something was told to us that we should implement right away in our classroom, and that, whatever that strategy was, did not succeed in our classroom. And our idea is not to simply stop there. We want to know how can we adjust the strategy so that it does succeed for you. And we have another question from Cheryl. How will the budget template be distributed? Is that available now or online, or will it be sent out? So we're actually working on it currently, and I would be happy to share the current version of it that we have with everybody. It was used for our Spring Pilot grantees, so the folks who applied for the Spring Pilot grant. And you can see what they've done, but we're actually going to be doing some more work to get it exactly right for the coming school year. But I'm certainly happy to share that, and we will do so with everybody who registered for today's webinar. You're welcome, Cheryl. We'll take just another 30 seconds or so to wait for questions coming in on the chat box. Okay, wait time is a very lengthy, challenging thing as a speaker, so we'll go ahead and move through it. If you do have questions, please do reach out to us. So what are the next steps if you're interested and would like to know more? Well, you'll want to start by visiting the Oklahoma Excel website in the coming weeks. We're going to post this webinar there, and we know that the concepts are complex and it may be a little bit new to you, and it might take a little time to sink in. So you might want to watch the webinar again, or perhaps share it with teachers in your site to gauge interest. If you haven't already, register to attend Engage OK, the summer conference. Registration is now open, and I will be presenting over the entire Champions of Excellence initiative, which of course covers this work of Oklahoma Excel and the learning communities. We are currently preparing several overview documents for you, which will provide more information, including information about focal areas, budgets, as Cheryl has spoken about, and other key information that will help you know how you can join the work. We will update our Oklahoma Excel website regularly, as well as include announcements in the administrator newsletter. As always, we are here to answer any questions you may have. Feel free to reach out to any member of the Excel team with your questions and comments. We look forward to partnering you, and we hope that you'll have a wonderful rest of your week. For all those watching today's webinar live, we will automatically add you to our mailing list to ensure you are kept up to date. If you are watching a recording of this webinar and would like to be added to the mailing list, please email Dawn Irons at dawn, D-A-W-N, .irons, I-R-O-N-S, at sde.ok.gov, or find our new mailing list survey at sde.ok.gov/Oklahoma-Excel.